Hey guys, Greg Alexander. The question was posed to me, and it's a question that a lot of bass fishermen have, is when do I bail on these fish and when do I go do something else? When do I stay? How long should I stay on fish? And when should I leave fish? Well, I'm probably one of the most impatient fishermen on the planet. And, many times while people are waiting on fish to bite, I've fished 10 other spots already. So my philosophy, I guess it depends on your philosophy partly. My philosophy has always been, if they're not biting here, they're probably biting somewhere, and I'm going to rotate through spots until I find a place where I can get an active feeding fish or two or three to bite. So that being said, I fish a lot of tidal rivers, and tidal rivers, fish don't tend to group up in big schools, at least not in the mid-Atlantic area. They tend to be onesie twosies, maybe three fish, something like that. But an area may have, when I'm talking about an area, I'm talking about, a couple 100-yard area may have 10, 12, 15, 20 fish in it, of which you might get 2 to bite. So understand, for every fish that you catch, there's 10 that you put your lure in front of at least that didn't bite. I mean, with live sight today and 360 imaging, if you watch any Bassmaster Live or some of these other programs on video, they'll just talk to you about how many times they can see the fish, but they can't get them to bite. So my philosophy is get to where the fish are biting. A fresh fish that hasn't had pressure on them, that is, you just come to for the first time, the most important cast you can make is that first cast. Once he's aware that you're there, once he's aware that something wasn't right with that bait that went in front of him, you're not going to catch him. You're not going to catch him. So when to stay, when to go. Here's my general rule of thumb. If I'm fishing a spot or an area that I know from experience is holding fish at this particular time of year, is I'll give that spot at most a half an hour. I mean, at most a half an hour. Most of the time, I pretty much know, again from experience, I pretty much know in 5 minutes or not whether or not I'm going to be able to catch these fish at this time. Now, I may come back a little bit later. So if you look at your most successful fishermen of all times, that would be Kevin Van Dam, Jacob Wheeler, some of these other guys. And if you watch any Major League Fishing, when they're following Jacob Wheeler in one of these tournaments in another boat, camera boat, and they put their trolling motor down, and he puts his trolling motor down, you'll hear Marty Stone or some of these other people say, we had to fire the motor up to catch up to Jacob Wheeler because he was covering so much water. And KVD, who has since, as he's gotten older, slowed down, he doesn't jump around near as much as he used to, and, his success has fallen off also. Used to do the same thing. These guys used to put, when everybody had 12-volt battery systems, and there wasn't 24-volt, some of you guys don't remember this, but, for a long time, all you could get was a 12-volt trolling motor. There was no 24, no 36. These guys would put 3 12-volt batteries in their boat, wired 12-volt, so that they could get 3 times the power of everybody else. So I don't think staying is a good asset to winning tournaments on spots. Now, there's some exceptions to that. Grass lakes, ledge fish, things like that, where the fish tend to school on certain areas throughout the day, and you just have to be there for the bite window. But even then, it depends on the tournament. If it's a big tournament where, there's a bunch of boats, and if you pull off it, somebody's pulling on it, and you think you're on winning fish, you probably should stay. If it's a smaller tournament or you're just out fishing for fun and there's not a gazillion boats out on the lake or the river, reservoir, then, you could leave and try something else and then come back. So this is the age-old question: should I stay or should I go? And just to rehash, I'm a goer. I'm a goer. It's hurt me. It's hurt me in the past. I admit it. It has hurt me by not staying when I probably should have stayed. But it has also helped me many, many times not, you're basically wasting time running your boat, and you're basically wasting your time sitting on unbiting fish. So you have to ask yourself a question: do I have enough areas that I can run to that I think I can get one here and one there that I'll be successful? Or is this my only thing? If this is, if this area that you're fishing is your only thing, then running around could be, kind of pointless to you. If you know the place very well and you've got 50 spots to fish, or you've got 50 waypoints that you put in practice that you can start running, then that's probably something that I would personally do. It seems like something that Jacob Wheeler does. It seems like something that KVD does. It seems like something that a lot of these very successful high-end bass pros do, is they cover a lot of water, so they're not hardly ever staying anywhere unless the fish say stop. See, that's what comes. I'll give you an example. I fished a state team qualifying tournament years ago, probably more than 20 years ago. And it was a 2-day tournament, and the first day of the tournament, I was in like 40th place. Had a terrible, terrible day. So the second day, I scrapped everything and started fishing all new. And I had 3 little fish, and I pulled up on this one little underwater point. It was an old landing from hundreds of years ago. They're all over these rivers on the East Coast. And I threw a jig up there, and I caught a 3-pounder. Far and away like the best fish I'd seen. Put them in live well, it gave me 4. And I thought, well, I'll sit here for a little while. And I sat there for about, 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes casting this jig around. And you could feel the stuff down there working it. And I was just getting ready to leave, and I catch another 3-pounder. So now I'm thinking, wow, maybe you got to work these fish to get them to bite, because the water was dirty, the tide was dropping, the feed window was coming. You understand? The feed window on tidal rivers is, towards lower water. As the water tends to slow down a little bit, tends to clear up a little bit, the fish tends to pull the bait out of the marshes and the backwaters and under the undercut banks and things, gets better. So now my mindset is, the bite's getting better. I've caught 2 really good fish. I should sit here for a little while. Because I didn't do good the first day doing other things, so what was I going to run to? The same thing I did the first day and didn't do good? So I sat there for a little while after that second fish and fished around again, and then I figured out there was a little sweet spot. And I found this little sweet spot, and I caught another 3-pounder. And like every half hour or so, 20 minutes to half hour, I would catch a fish until the tide bottomed out, and then they quit biting, and I left. And ended up catching the biggest bag of the tournament that day by staying on fish, but the fish told me to stay. The conditions told me to stay. The experience of the day before told me to stay. So it's, you really just gotta develop the experience and the confidence in your techniques, the things you're doing, to understand that, you know, if I stay, I'm going to waste a bunch of time and then I may not even catch them, or I can go hunting for other fish. So that's my take on staying or go. You know, some people do it different. And again, let me just say this one last thing. You know, in tidal water, which I fish mostly, although I fished everywhere from Texas this way, Oklahoma this way, towards the East Coast. In tidal water, there's a bite window. It's a predictable bite window. So that gives you a little bit of knowledge, like, you know, here I am, the tide's halfway out, I'm in this little creek, it looks like the water's just starting to clear up a little bit, I haven't had a bite in 20 minutes, you're probably going to stay, because you know the bite window's getting ready to open up. You know, where if you're in there and the tide's high, water's still muddy, it's still running hard, you're probably like, you know, I need to come back to this an hour from now when the tide is slowing down, water clears up a little bit. So experience is probably your biggest asset to understanding when you should stay and when you should go. So I hope this video helps answer that question for some of you. For some of you, you're going to think, well, that didn't answer my question. Well, it did answer your question. There's no easy answer. There's no easy answer. Every situation is different. Every lake is different. Every river is different. Every time of the year is different. Are the fish grouped up? Are they not grouped up? Is it a onesie twosie type thing? Is it a tidal thing? Is it, you know, we got some weather coming in this afternoon. There's some wind. It's still right now. There's a lot of things to consider, and you have to consider all these options. And when you consider all these options, it'll give you the most educated guess that you can make on whether or not you should stay or whether or not you should go. Again, like I said, I hope this helps you to understand this. Thanks for watching my videos. If you want to watch them on a regular basis, please hit the subscribe button. Share with your friends, little like button, little alarm bell button. It'll help me. It'll help you. And have a blessed day.